The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA's heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
Hi, I'm Alicia.
And I'm Stacy.
And we make Trashy Divorces, everybody's favorite good podcast about bad relationships.
Looking for something true crimey without the gore or the body count?
We've been churning out funny, feisty, feminist episodes since 2019. So if you're looking to put some scandalous stories told well into your ears this summer, check out Trashy Divorces, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Trust us, we've covered someone you love.
Or someone you love to hate.
The sun's shining, birds are singing, and all feels right in the world.
Until the season changes, and suddenly you lose your motivation to get out of bed. In fact, 1 in 5 people experience some form of depression, no matter the season or time of year.
At the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, our vision is to build a mentally healthy nation for all, because we want you to live your best life and be your best you all year round.
Please visit mentallyhealthynation.org to learn more.
Craig, I'll tell you where there's definitely a lot of work to be done at Cincinnati. And
I knew you were going to go there.
Again, on the defensive side of the ball, Zach Taylor is a lucky, lucky man to be back as head coach, the only head coach in the division who returns based on last year. It would have been really hard to conceive 2 years ago that the Bengals will be further away from a Super Bowl and not closer to getting back there. And yet, they seem to be determined to shut, smash, and burn to ash the Joe Burrow window.
It's funny, isn't it? Because you think about the whole Joe Burrow thing and the fact that they can't keep him upright, and you look at the offensive line and what they need to do there. And I've got 4 defensive positions ahead of offensive line as to what they need, because that's how bad they are on defense. I've got defensive.
Understandably so. Look what Burrow did when he was fit last year. And it's laughable to think people were saying, oh, maybe Joe Flacco is the answer here. Burrow comes back and instantly, even by the stats, even by the bald stats, improved that offense by 20-30%, just like that. He's a magician.
I mean, I've got defensive tackle, I've got safety, I've got linebacker all down here as things that they need. Maybe edge, but they did get Boye Mafe, so that kind of takes the pressure off a little bit. I think safety is probably the way they go. Caleb Downs could fall to them at 10. I think it's probably unlikely, but if they do, you run to the podium and you make that pick. That's the kind of pick that I think for the Bengals would be like what the Ravens had when they took Cole Hamilton. I think that's just, a stonewaller. If he's not there, they could take, is it Dylan Thiemann from Oregon? I think he's been a bit of a draft riser, but maybe that's a bit of a reach. Defensive tackle, again, they have BJ Hill, who's phenomenal in the run game, but they have nothing in pressure up front. They have Lee Hunter there from, I think it's Texas Tech, but I think round 1's way too early. I think they need to hope that he falls in round 2 for that. And then linebacker, they had 2 rookies make the majority of their linebacker snaps. They had Demetrius Knight Jr., who's 2nd round. They had 4th rounder Barrett Carter. Sonny Styles, if he drops to 10, again, you run to the podium as quick as you possibly can, but I just don't think that's happening.
Sonny, don't go away.
Ciaran
Boyle.
Sorry, Conor, go on.
No, go on. You've started.
I chose another name because I am on the defensive team. Sorry, I'm jumping in of Ciaran, but maybe I'll tee Ciaran up nicely. What about Manzoor? Delane, is that how he pronounces his name? Cornerback? Because I'm looking at the Bengals secondary, Conor, and they have 2 cornerbacks going into contract years. They're not going to sign both.
Kyle Brandt is spiking his coffee cup on the ground. Did you hear Kyle Brandt's rant about how it falls on us to do the work to learn the names and how to pronounce them?
Okay, well, by the time we get to the draft night, don't worry, Conor, I'll be absolutely upper echelon stuff. But
you'll know your HNs from your ETNs.
Well, yeah, he quickly put people right when he signed for the,
quickly,
for the Saints.
5 years it took him to put people right.
They've got 2 cornerbacks going into contract years, Conor, and look, the secondary has been a disaster there for you're just doubling down essentially what Craig has said, talking about their defensive problems, but their secondary has been a disaster, and they've got 2 cornerbacks going into contract years. They're not going to sign both of them. I actually think maybe cornerback might be, unless Ciaran sees that as too big a reach to go in the top 10, but the way you look at his content and the footage, he looks like a stand-there cornerback for me.
Ciaran, obviously feel free to jump in on that one and respond. The other thing that I was going to ask you about is, because you are on record as saying that the Bengals are negligent in terms of their unwillingness to invest in that O-line.
And what's crazy is the O-line actually improved last year, and they were ranked 7th overall. And that wasn't really, at the end of the day, that wasn't the issue with the Bengals, as we all know. It was an absolutely atrocious defense. But the O-line managed to get itself together, over the course of the year, which is something I don't think a lot of people could have said at the start of the year. Now, I will say on the defensive side for the Bengals, they did pick up Jonathan Allen. They did pick up, like we said, Boye Mafe, and they did get Brian Cook from the Chiefs, which is a nice little pickup. So they've addressed some needs. The defense, though, was atrocious. I mean, they were 31 in total defense. They were last in rushing defense. Scoring defense, they were 30th. So, every metric you can think of, they were they were either last, second last, or third last. So it's an abomination right now. Whatever help they can get, they're going to get. Now, luckily for them, it is an extremely loaded draft for defensive players. Like Craig said, I'm looking at linebacker primarily. Craig did mention Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter. Nice little players, but you're looking at players coming in like Sonny Styles, who he absolutely lit a match at the combine, and his teammate from Ohio State, Arvell Reese. I don't want to call him can't miss. I would call Styles. He's already a defensive rookie of the year candidate. Reese in his own right is going to be a really, really good player. I think they're going to go linebacker. Like Craig said, they did get Boye Mafe, so that kind of addresses to an extent the edge position. And like Brian said, Mansour Delane, there's also a guy called Jermod McCoy out of Tennessee. Similar players. All these corners that come in at the 6 foot, they're about $190, about $180, fast as hell. They've got the same speed, the same basic metrics as a wide receiver. They're all running 4.4, 4.1, 4.2, just monsters. So I would look at those two guys as well. If Taylor decides to go corner, I think it's either going to be linebacker or corner to stretch. You are looking at Mansour Delane from LSU. That is a great talent. So, with the 10th pick, they're going to have a nice little kind of option, a nice little bunch of people to choose from. So, but yeah, it's definitely
they are one of those teams, though, as you're mentioning it, whose draft strategy I'm going to be watching quite closely, because they do have a lot of draft capital. Yeah, they have a lot of needs, but they've 9 picks overall. They've 2 6-round picks, 2 7-round picks. So they do have capital to play with, depending on what they're targeting and whether there are particular needs early on in the draft. I would suspect that they'll be a team they'll be ready to deal early and often.
Yeah, absolutely. And even up front, they might go D tackle. They might go after Woods from Clemson. I think I put a video of his highlights in the chat a couple of months ago. Another, I don't want to say can't miss, but he's going to be a phenom in his first year. And they might go, edge. They might go one of the big edges coming out. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. But for me, it's definitely going to be linebacker or corner. I think those two spots they go after.
The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA's heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.